And welcome to another edition of South Texas Crossfire. This is Attorney Joe Flores reminding you to join us each and every week right here on KTMV with the Lopez family. Special thanks to Don Humberto Lozano Lopez. He passed away in 2011, but he's honored, he's venerated, he's never forgotten. And my good friend Carlos Lopez, the new captain at the helm. You guessed it, the Ted Turner of South Texas Broadcasting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a hot topic going on right now that was filed in the Southern District, if I may, in the United States District Court for the Southern District of Mississippi, Southern Division. United States of America versus Michael Watts, David Watts, Winter Lee, Gregory P. Warren, a.k.a. Greg Warren, Hector Eloy Guerra, and also the Thai Hung Lee, a.k.a. Christy Lee, and Huang Nguyen, a.k.a. Abby Nguyen. These allegations include those that they signed up people on deckhands. They also signed up people that had never worked near a platform. It's what they are saying. That is what the government is saying. Now, as a federal attorney, let me tell you, this is not evidence, okay? This is allegations. They have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And Michael C. Watts is fighting for his very life, his freedom, as are the other defendants, including his brother. It is a very difficult thing to take on the government. I admire his courage, and I wish him well. I'm sure he's a very apt lawyer. As you've read in my blog, he has done numerous trials. This man of an age with me has had an illustrious career with product cases, but surprisingly, and with great courage, he is representing himself. This is an historical sort of development, because you have a gentleman that has done wonderful things in the courtroom, in the civil arena. But now, not only do you have him switching gears and being a federal criminal attorney, but he's representing himself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is history in the making. And we're going to go through the indictment. And remember, I can't underline this enough, allegations are not evidence. They must be proven by the government beyond a reasonable doubt for them to stick. And a jury of his peers must find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And our prayers are with him, because he is also a native son here of Corpus Christi, graduate from King High School, and his career has not only been illustrious, but he's helped a lot of people here in South Texas. So I don't wish ill of anyone, but we do have to report this development. Also, it was revealed that Mr. Kraken and Mr. Hilliard were two individuals that were cooperating attorneys that offer or portend to offer some testimony at trial. We don't know if they're going to be called as witnesses or not. There's a lot of things up in the air. So let's get started. Well, and let's find out what this case is about. Let's just by way of background, I'm sure everybody heard about the Deepwater Horizon movie, coming up about it and all that good stuff. As a result of the fire explosion and release of oil from the Deepwater oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico on or about April 20th to 21st, 2010, also known as the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, the National Pollution Fund Center, NPFC, of the United States Coast Guard issued a letter of designation to BP Exploration and Production, that's BP, designating it as the responsible party under the Oil Pollution Act, OPA, and advising BP, British Petroleum, of the requirements under OPA, which again is the Oil Pollution Act, to advertise for and receive claims as a result of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. On or about May 3rd, 2010, BP accepted this designation in writing, meaning they were going to pay money, acknowledging its requirement to advertise for and receive claims related to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Ladies and gentlemen, not since Exxon Valdez, or Valdez as some people say, have we had such an environmental catastrophe. When we were looking at this, many people were affected in the Gulf. These were shrimpers, even people that own hotels, just workers. There were changes in the ecology, in the changes in the environment, and it required a lot of cleanup. And sometimes the cleanup was worse, the cure was worse than the thing itself. So this is kind of where the litigation sprang from. And Mr. Watts, being a very prominent attorney, not only in Texas, but nationwide, was spearheading a lot of this. Now, there's a lot of talk that he had something to do with this, sort of signing up people. He vehemently denies it and says he had no knowledge of it, and he's fighting for his life right now, and our prayers are with him, and that justice may be served. With that being said, let's get back into more of the allegations and of the complaint that has been filed by the government. We're going to go to a video. Dave, you want to cue that up? What we've got, to give you a background very quickly before we get to the video, we've got an indictment, and it starts out with this document here. It's filed in the Southern District of Mississippi, and I think Dave can cue up on that here in a minute as well. And it's accusing Michael C. Watts, his brother David, among other people, and it looks like some people of Vietnamese American persuasion, as well as a gentleman by the name of Greg Warren and another gentleman, Hector Eloy Guerra, of some pretty serious conduct. Now, as a federal criminal attorney, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not just a journalist, but I also practice federal law. This is not advice. This is not a show to solicit any business. You can contact any lawyer you want. But what I know from being an honor to be in front of excellent federal judges is an indictment is just that. It's an accusation. It's not evidence. What you read in an indictment and that's on the internet and what we see on the video is Mr. Watts, which is his constitutional right to free speech, answering these allegations. Among these, that these individuals named in the indictment sued British Petroleum. You all remember that it was Deepwater Horizon, the oil rig back there in April of 2010 that wouldn't turn off. It was burning and burning out there in the Gulf, and it was exposing all of this animal and plant life and people who lived along the Gulf, restaurant owners, businessmen, people that worked as deckhands in the oil field, and it caused oil pollution. And President Obama watched this very closely and worked with British Petroleum to put this out. They had a great deal of difficulty doing that. I remember this vividly. And so Deepwater Horizon was probably one of the worst oil spills, if not the worst, in American history since the Valdez oil spill in Alaska. So with that, on August 6, 2010, the indictment reads that British Petroleum established the Deepwater Horizon Oil Spill Trust, an irrevocable trust, and to give to the victims, to compensate for them. Now, as we see here, something went wrong that Michael Watts, being one of the biggest attorneys in the United States, was of course on what they call a steering committee. And he filed a number of lawsuits. Now, what the U.S. Attorney is alleging that the attorney, Michael Watts, on paragraph 14, page 4 of the 59-page indictment, that an attorney one, an unidentified attorney informant, and this is public record. I'm not reading anything like the Coca-Cola formula. This is just what they're alleging. And once again, allegations are not fact. You can indict a ham sandwich, as one good attorney told a jury one time. But at the same time, if proven, the government has the burden of proof, but Mr. Watts and all the others that have been accused also have the right to also present evidence and defend themselves in a court of law. This is America. And so attorney one, an unidentified attorney, attorney one paid defendant Michael Watts $3.1 million. This is what they're saying happened. These are not my opinions. This is just what the Mississippi federal attorneys put out there, the prosecutors, that attorney one paid Michael Watts $3.1 million to buy a piece, quote unquote, buy a piece of Watts' seafood docket in what's called multi-district litigation 2179, and that an attorney two
who, unidentified attorney, was a licensed attorney in Texas who paid defendant Michael Watts $7.8 million. Allegedly, this is not evidence, of a big piece of Watts' seafood docket. And attorney 2 received his buy-in money from a businessman from Texas. I don't know what that means. And of course, it also goes on to say that Michael Watts represented people in Washington, Virginia, Utah, California, Connecticut, Kansas, Massachusetts, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, North Carolina, Arkansas, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. Okay, a lot of people. So it goes on in the indictment, and we're going to go to it, but it basically goes on and on that victim 1 through up-teen victims, they're alleging, the government is, that that Michael Watts falsely claimed to the court that the victims were deckhands on a commercial fishing vessel, when in truth, victim 3 and the others at 1, 2, 3, etc., did not work on a commercial fishing vessel or in the seafood industry at the time of Deepwater Horizon oil spill. In other words, what BP is alleging in a civil suit and what the federal prosecutors in a criminal indictment are saying is that this never happened. In paragraph 133, ladies and gentlemen, it goes on about victim 24 up to victim 40. It goes on and on. And let's look at some of these other allegations that this petition, I mean, it's 59 pages, okay? This complaint, rather. Sorry, not petition. And remember, this is not evidence. They're allegations that have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. I can't underline that enough. Let's go to paragraph 55, shall we? On or about November 18, 2010, defendant Winter Lee submitted a plaintiff fact sheet to a law firm in Chicago, Illinois, in the name of Lucy Liu. Well, I asked myself who Lucy Liu is, and claiming Lucy Liu was a deckhand on a commercial seafood vessel. And I said, wow, a lady working on a seafood vessel. Lucy Liu was a dog. Well, that's all we have for right now. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to look at some more of these allegations. We're going to go ahead and go to the video and see what Mr. Michael C. Watts, the attorney and also super lawyer for many years, just to say a few good things about this gentleman that I know personally. He graduated from law school when he was 21. He learned his craft and how to defend the injured from a David Perry, excellent attorney, Perry and Haas, both of them, Renee Haas. And he went on and started his own firm after going into business with a good friend of mine, Mr. Harris. They split up, and then he formed his own firm of Watts and Guerra. So let's just cut to the video that he's put out in a public domain. This is nothing that I've put out. He's put it out in a public domain, and it's up for grabs, just like any video. Dave and I have learned about that in politics. And I believe the site is Mikal, M-I-K-A-L-C, Watts, W-A-T-T-S.com, MichaelCWatts.com. So let's go to some excerpts from that, and then we'll be back.
Hello, I'm attorney Michael Watts. After more than 4 years of waiting for this investigation to end, with this announcement, I will now finally have my day in court. I look forward to a speedy trial and to the opportunity to prove to a jury of my peers that I am not guilty of any crime. I've spent my entire adult life working hard to protect the rights of those victimized by corporations like BP. I've been blessed to have been successful fighting for the rights of others, and look forward to continuing to do so on behalf of my clients in the future. One thing I have learned, sometimes when you're David about ready to cast your first stone up at Goliath, Goliath becomes a bully. And some of the big corporations that I have taken on fight back. Not merely in court, but oftentimes they direct their attacks at me personally. That's what's going on here. Every lawsuit I brought against BP was filed in good faith, based on the information provided to my firm by others. After filing these cases, I then spent over 2 years of my life working extremely hard with other people together reviewing millions of pages of documents, taking hundreds of depositions, both here along the Gulf Coast and in BP's home country of England, proving that what BP did was wrong. Even worse, proving that BP acted criminally and caused a blowout on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig, which cost 11 good men their lives and caused the largest environmental disaster in American history. I will plead not guilty because I am not guilty, and yet it is BP itself that has pled guilty over and over and over again to crimes for its own felonious conduct, conduct that has cost many innocent men their lives and that has destroyed our Gulf Coast environment. I want you to know that this attack on me today only strengthens my resolve to fight for those whose livelihoods and for some whose very lives have been destroyed by the actions of bad corporations like BP. To those who want me to walk away or to back down, I'll say this: it's never worked before and it won't work now. It's not because I relish the fight. It's because what I love to do is to level the playing field. Big corporations can use their wealth to bend the world to their will. Lord knows BP, Volkswagen, and Syngenta have recently tried. Regular people don't have these advantages or this same power, but they do have one thing on their side: the law. And the law is on my side too. More importantly, the facts are on my side as well. I know the evidence will show that I have committed none of the crimes of which I have been accused. I worship a just God, and I pray that He allows a speedy trial so that the truth will come out sooner rather than later, so that I can return my focus to my family, and so that I can return to doing what I love to do, to fight against giant companies who have hurt regular people, people who can only receive justice through access to our courts and through the rule of law. This is my life's work, and I look forward to continuing it when this process is completed. Thank you.
And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, we are talking about in our first of a four-part series on the United States of America in the Southern District of Mississippi versus Michael C. Watts and his brother David Watts, Winter Lee, Greg Warren, Hector Eloy Guerra, and the Thai Hung Lee, Christy Lee, and Thi Hong Nguyen, aka Abby Nguyen. These people are accused of various crimes, and remember, they're accused. Everybody is presumed innocent. As somebody who's worked as a federal attorney for over a decade, nearing a decade and a half, I will tell you that an indictment like this that we are looking at, ladies and gentlemen, is not evidence. It is what it is, an indictment. It's an accusation. Basically, you take this and a grand jury sees if there's enough evidence to even accuse somebody, and then they indict them. But that is not a trial. That is not a condemnation of anything. This is very serious because for the first time in you know, as far as I know, in South Texas, we've heard accusations, not since a case involving somebody that was accused of running cases and not being a lawyer many, many years ago, have we had something of this magnitude, especially British Petroleum, making these accusations in civil court that Michael Watts and people that worked for him, including his brother, they some sort of way falsified or claims. And again, these are strong accusations. They're not evidence, they're accusations. But we are going to be going down to Mississippi and investigating this. Dave and I are packing up the KTMB crew and everybody out there. And, you know, we're going to go and investigate it. We're going to go watch the trial. I heard Tommy the Animal Guns Holbein is also going to be in on it. He, of course, is another journalist who is following things closely, as well as even our brethren and the CBS affiliates, KZTV, and other people. And so this is going to be a big trial. Hopefully, you know, you've seen the evidence that they're trying to present through the indictment, but you've also heard the other side. You've also seen Mr. Michael Watts respond to these very, very serious allegations. And he has every right to put on his defense. And that's why we're following this, because this could be the trial of the new century. A lawyer on trial for filing a lawsuit against British Petroleum. When you take on the 800-pound gorilla, British Petroleum, worth many hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, then, you know, in a street fight, you punch, they punch back. So this is what's going on. But for the United States U.S. Attorney the U.S. Attorney to go after him in the Southern District of Mississippi, they are accusing him of criminal acts, and he and the other people accused. And remember, I can't underline this enough, that the indictment is not evidence. We're also going to be loading this up, and again, any domain names, any websites that we have, they're not used to make any money. Nobody's paid me or pulling my strings, or I'm trying to make a profit off this. I am just blessed to be a lawyer. I'm blessed to be a healthcare provider, and I'm blessed to bring out the news and try to report it as fair and balanced as we can on KTMV. Not only KTMV, but me as a video blogger. And we're very excited to be putting on a new blog spot, South Texas blog spot, that's going to be coming out. And we're going to be letting everybody know what's going on, not only on this trial, but also on legal issues that affect all South Texans and all of my Latino brothers and sisters. Damas y caballeros que están mirando aquí en esta audiencia, déjenme informarme que esto aquí no es evidencia. Otra vez, el licenciado Michael Watts y los otros que están acusados no están culpables. Hasta el fiscal puede probar eso. So que not guilty until proven so beyond a reasonable doubt.
Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, essentially what they're trying to say is that Michael Watts and the other parties signed up people without their permission or their knowledge. And later on, we're going to have an interview with a Miss Tammy Tran, who says that she has allegations as well, but in a civil court. And that is a different kind of standard. As we are recording this, we don't know what will happen with the civil suit, but we'll be playing that for the viewers here at another time in the near future. But again, these allegations are not evidence. They have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. There's many counts in this. There's 59 pages. Essentially, that they not only signed them up, but they didn't have their social security numbers with their permission, all of that stuff. Everything Mr. Watts denies, as well as his brother, as well as Winter Lee, as well as Gregory Warren, Eloy Guerra, Hector Eloy Guerra, and Christy Lee, and Abby Nguyen. These individuals are accused there, and they are fighting for their lives. Let me tell you from experience, ladies and gentlemen, it is not an easy thing to have the courage to stand up to the government and go to trial. So I commend them on that, and I wish them the very best of luck. We're going to take a brief break again, but when we come back, we'll be reviewing more of the indictment, and stay tuned.